Students, today we're going to do a lesson on logarithms, but I'm going to follow a slightly different format. Since this is not done very well in the textbook, I'm not going to assign textbook homework. Instead, I'm going to assign homework at the bottom of this page, which I'll get to. And I put the answers to the homework right here. Please don't look at the answers until after you've done the homework. Okay, now you may be wondering what a logarithm is. I know some of you have seen this in high school, but I know also some of you haven't. So I'm going to explain it. I just think of a logarithm as another way to write an exponent. So a logarithm of a number is the exponent, which tells you how many times to multiply the base. For example, 2 to the third is equal to 8. As you know, the base is 2. The exponent is 3. And when you work out 2 to the third, you get the value of 8. So that's the value. Whenever you write it like this, that's called exponential form because it uses a basic exponent on the base. Okay, now when you write it this way using a logarithm, now this is the word logarithm fully spelled out, but we're going to abbreviate it and just use the first 3 letters, L-O-G. So from now on, when you see L-O-G, that stands for logarithm, and we're going to write exponential form in logarithmic form. And to do that, you write the word log, the base, which is a regular size number 2, gets written small right underneath right at the bottom of the word log at the end of the G. So when you write it like that, that's the base, same as this base. Okay, the value of 2 to the third is 8. After you write the log and the base, the value comes next. And then all that equals the exponent, which is 3. But the difference is the 3, which is written small, about 1/3 the size of a regular number, is now written as a regular number, 3. Okay? So this is logarithmic form, and this is exponential form. Let's do examples, and once I do 5 examples with you, you'll understand the whole thing. Type of question you need to know in this math class is how to evaluate or simplify logarithms. So let's say you want to do log of 100 plus log base 2 of 8. Okay, this is actually like 2 problems in one. Let's start with log of 100. Okay, now when you do log of 100, the base is an invisible 10. Every time you don't see a base on log, it's automatically a 10. Okay, and since we don't know the answer yet, we'll call this x. Okay, now to find the answer to x, or the value of log of 100, we're going to change this to exponential form. The base gets written regular size. This would be the exponent, goes above the base, and the value is 100. Okay, now to finish this, just say to yourself, 10 to what power is equal to 100? Isn't 10 squared 100? 10 times 10? So x is equal to 2. Okay, I'm going to show you a little shortcut, by the way. Every time you see a 1 and zeros in a log, just count the zeros. But it only works when there's a 1. So there's 1, 2 zeros. The answer is 2. Okay, that's a quick way. We also need log base 2 of 8. Okay, now we could call this y. I'm not using x because we just used that. Now this, you could do it very simply by just saying the base is 2. What exponent would I need on a 2 to get to 8? 2 to the third power is 8 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Okay, or if you still don't see it, you could just change it to exponential form. The base, the exponent equals 8, and then you could just work it out. 2 times, this would be 2 to the third. Okay, and then you'll see that y is equal to 3. So now you know this was x, and we know the answer is 2, plus this was y, and we know the answer is 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. And that's how you evaluate a logarithmic problem where you're adding. Okay, subtracting over here, the second problem, same thing. You got to work this one out. So we'll call this x. Okay, now this is like saying 3 to what exponent gives you 27. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. If you don't see it this way, you could just change it to exponential form. 3 to the x equals 27, and then you just solve this. You could just say the smaller one on the other side multiplied, 3 times 3 times 3 gives you 27, so that tells you x equals 3. This one you could do very easily, just count the zeros. Remember I told you when there's a 1, all you have to do is count the zeros, so there's 1, 2, 3. So this answer is 3. The one we did over here, the answer was 3, but now we're subtracting. So it's 3 take away 3, which is 0. And that's your answer. Okay, now let's do one over here. This one has parentheses around both of them, so that's telling you to multiply. The first one is very quick because there's a 1. Count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this one will work it out. You could put it equal to x. Okay, now this one might be a little hard to do it just like this, so you were going to change it to exponential form. The base gets written regular size. The exponent is over here. It equals 625. Okay, and this is what's called an exponential equation. Remember I told you take the smaller base and just multiply it on the other side? So 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. Now we still haven't gotten there yet because we're trying to get to 625. Just do it one more time and we'll get it. 125 times 5, when you multiply that out, it gives you exactly 625. So using 4 5s, you'll get to 625. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 to the 4th equals 5 to the x. And now that the bases are the same, the exponents are the same. So x has to equal 4. Okay, and that gives us the answer that we needed right over here. This is 4. This, as we said before, you just count the zeros. That's 4. And 4 times 4, the answer to this question is 16. Just multiplying the two 4s. Okay? All right, now here's one with division. And in this one, it's a little bit harder. So we got to make sure we do each one separately. So I'll do the top first. Log base 3 of 9. We'll call it x. We'll change it to exponential form. Okay, and now we're going to multiply this base on the other side. So that would give us 2 3's, which is 3 squared, equal to 3 to the x. Okay, since the bases are equal, the exponents are equal, so x equals 2. So now we got one of the answers, the top, which is 2. Okay, the bottom we have to still work out. So log base 2 of 8, we'll call it equal to y. We'll change it to exponential form. 2 to the y equals 8. And if we take this 2 and multiply it on the other side, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 3 2's will give us the value on the other side, which is 8. So 2 to the third equals 2 to the y, and y equals 3. Okay, so now we know the bottom is 3, and that answer is already simplified, just 2/3. So that's your answer. Okay, now let's do one more. Now this one's a little more complicated. It says divide. If you want to, you could just do it as a fraction. Might be easier. So I'm going to write log base 4 of 2 as a fraction over log base 4 of 8. Okay, again we have 2 of them to work with. We need to do log base 4 of 2. So let me do that over here. We'll call that x. We'll change it to exponential form. 4 to the x equals 2. And now we got to make both bases the same. The smaller base we're going to multiply on the other side, and immediately 2 times 2 is 4. So you get 2 squared to the x power, which we'll bring down, and on the other side we have 2. That would be the same as 2 to the 2 times x, 2x, equals 2. And this, of course, has a 1. So the bases are 2, the exponents are equal. So 2x equals 1. And then when you divide by 2, you get x equals a half. Okay, this is a little tricky, so you got to be careful with this one. So the top, you get a half. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom. Log 4 of 8, I'll do that over here. Log base 4 of 8 equals y. Changing it to exponential form, we get 4 to the y equals 8. Okay, now this is the hardest one because if you take the smaller base and times it by itself, 4 times 4, that's 16, not 8. So to do that, you go back to the smaller base. Remember the lesson we did on exponential equations? And you break it up. That would be 2 times 2. Since we're using 2 here, you're going to use 2 on the other side, and you got to get 8. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so we have 2 2's here. That's 2 squared to the y power. The right side, we have just 3 2's to make 8. So it's 2 to the third. Okay, now let's just simplify this. This would be 2 to the 2 times y, or 2 to the 2y, equals 2 to the third. And then since bases are equal, the exponents are equal. Now notice the exponents are 2y and 3. So 2y equals 3. Divide by 2 to solve for y. And you get y equals 3 over 2. You could just copy that and that's your answer. Okay, but we're not done because we have to go back and substitute. The top we already did it. We got a half. The bottom we just did it here and we got 3 over 2. Okay, now this is the correct answer, but it's not done because you have a fraction over a fraction. Remember that's called a complex fraction? We have to simplify. The easiest way is just multiply by the LCD, which is 2. Okay, the 2's cancel and the 2's cancel here, and you're left with a 1 on the top and a 3 on the bottom. And that's it. That's your answer. Okay, now I would suggest that you do each of these problems without looking. Try to do it by yourself and see if you understand it and see if you could do it. If you can, the homework is right over here. See where it says homework? These 4 problems you're going to be doing on your own. If you have any questions, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to email me and let me know. If not, you could, after you do these, you could check your answers right here and see if you got it right. Don't cheat. Don't look at this until after you finish doing the problems. Okay? So, good luck with the homework, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.